Welcome to our very first Wednesday night webinar. My name is Sarah and this is Jason, and we are going to be talking to you guys today about an awesome topic, bullying and conflict resolution. So with bullying, we have three topics we're going to address. They're the three people that are involved in a bullying situation. The first one is the bullies that are actually exhibiting the bullying behavior, the bullied, which are the victims of the bullying situation, and then the bystanders, which is everybody on the outskirts of the situation looking in. So the very first one I'm going to talk to you about is the bullies. So these are the people you see, whether it's at school, whether it's in your neighborhood, on a sports team. This could be anywhere, out in public. These are the people that you see that are knocking books out of kids' hands and making fun of other people and saying things that are not nice. As you can see in this picture, pushing someone up against a locker. And so these people can be anywhere. And the definition that we have for you guys today is from one of my favorite guys in the entire world. His name is Bob Goff. That's his picture right there. But he says bullies are people who use conflict as a means for obtaining power. So to the bullies, like, it's all about the power. It's having the upper hand, and they will put someone down in order to make themselves feel better. And then it says some people grow out of this, others don't, and become old bullies. So I don't know about y'all, but I have seen some old bullies. And so when we think about bullying, we think a lot of times about kids and students and younger, the younger generation. But this can also be adults too, grown adults. And it could be older people, it could be younger, and everybody in between. So this is not just one, type of person. This could be anybody. And the thing is about bullies is most times they don't realize that they're being a bully. So I have had encounters with students before, and I'll address a bullying situation to them, and they're like, "Oh, I was just joking around. I was kidding. We were roasting each other." And so they don't actually admit to being a bully. They don't even realize they're being a bully. They think it's all fun and games. Sometimes they don't think it's fun and games, and they're just, making fun of someone, and they don't actually realize that they're being a bully. And so we have three main characteristics on how you know if you're being a bully. The first one is aggressive behavior. Now, this doesn't mean that they're getting in fights every day, punching people, and always physically aggressive, but they just have aggressive behavior. Maybe you try and talk to them and they start yelling at you, or they just have that aggressive vibe where they can be physically aggressive, but it can also just be just in their behavior and how they talk as well. And then power play, which power play is what we talked about earlier. This is them having the upper hand, obtaining power, putting others down to make themselves feel better about themselves. And then repeated, which repeated is, this is a daily thing. This is a very often thing that happens. It's not just a one-time occurrence. If it was just a one-time occurrence, that would just be a conflict. But bullying is a repeated act. And so now we're going to transition into the next topic, and that is the bullied. So I'm going to pass it to Mr. Jason.
All right, thanks, Sarah. So yeah, as Sarah talked about, there's the bullies, but I want to talk about the bullied. These are the victims when it comes to a bullying situation. And so a lot of times, when it comes to being bullied, a bully may not know how to deal, how to react when they are being bullied. And so the thing is with bullying, things have changed throughout the years. Bullies or bullied, used to just happen at school. They would go to school, be bullied, but they were able to leave school, leave campus, go home, and to their home, their safe place or safe haven. They can kind of decompress and not think about it until the next day, to when they go back to school and see those bullies again, or even in the next week for that matter. Nowadays, things have changed because now they go to school, they're being bullied, and then they come home, they pull out their devices, their phones or computers or laptops or tablets or whatever, and they're now being bullied online by bullies who are being mean behind the screen. So bullying is now 24/7. It's ongoing. So there's no way of escape, and it's just repeated bullying, whether it's face-to-face or through TikTok or through Snapchat, Instagram, etc. So that's what, of course, what we like to call cyberbullying, being mean behind the screen. This can happen through a group text. Let's say you're on a group text with a bunch of friends, and it turns into like this roast battle where you're roasting everybody left and right, but then somebody gets roasted, they get offended, they take it personally, so now their roast back has to be personal, and they say something mean about their family or somebody they truly love, somebody who's close to them, and it gets kind of cutthroat, and it gets to the place where that person says something mean, so now that person's got to go even harder on that person, and before you know it, some really serious offensive things can be said back and forth and really hurt that person's feelings and then damage that relationship. That can happen through group text. That can happen through social media. Let's say you're on social media. Let's say you're on Instagram. You post a picture of yourself, and you even took the right picture and you did the filters and you made it look good. But then you always have that hater on there that has to say, "Ooh, that don't look good. You look weird. You know, your skin's blotchy. You've gained weight. You know, all this mean stuff." Or even TikTok. You know, you're on there and you do some really cool dance move, and you think you're the stuff. You think that you perfected it, but then of course there's always a hater that thinks they're better than you, and they have to rip on your dance moves. So it happens through social media, happens through online gaming. Online gaming can be a very competitive place. And, you know, at first you're talking trash because it's very competitive, but then again, things get personal and some really mean name calling can happen back and forth through online gaming. That's called cyberbullying. So again, it goes beyond the playground. It goes beyond the classroom. It is now following us everywhere we go. As our little devices are buzzing in our back pockets, sometimes some of those notifications, those comments can be pretty mean. And so we got to be careful what we're saying and that we're not being mean behind the screen. And if you're being cyberbullied, you need to tell somebody about it. A lot of times students don't, because they think, oh, this is my private world. Even parents may think, oh, I need to stay out of their private life. But you know what? Some serious side effects can happen as a result of being bullied. Bullying can lead a person to a really deep, dark place. And as a result, they kind of act out and they do things to their bodies, or they turn to things that try to get their mind or to deaden their pain off their heartbreak. And it just makes matters worse. So what I want to do is I want to show you guys a video clip of a guy named Marcus. Marcus dealt with this severe bullying, and it really pushed Marcus to a deep, dark place, to the point where he kind of acted out and did some things that really could have caused some damage to his life and his body, and maybe even ended his life in the long run. So let's watch this video about a guy named Marcus. Check this out.
I moved to a new town, then I was the new kid at the school, and I was getting made fun of, and they was kicking me, pushing me, spit on me, throw my food down. They was calling me the N-word. It was like really tearing me down. And like it was like 2 of my classes I missed in the morning because that person was in that class bullying me. Like he would just call me names. He was like, "You stupid, you're not gonna be nothing in life." Then there was so much I can take, then I just blew up. I got into a fight at school for the first time. I was just walking and walking, then he pushed me. I just pulled out a pencil, then I stabbed him in the arm. It kind of made me feel good about it. Then I was like, it wasn't a way to go. I could have told the teacher about it. I was trying to find a way out. Then I found drinking was my way out. And I used to sneak behind my daddy back and my mom and them back and drink. And like when I'm upset or depressed or something, that's my first choice to go to alcohol. I used to be in my room and I drank like a bottle of alcohol by myself. I used to take alcohol to school in like in a water bottle. When I was drinking so much, I went to the hospital and it was like I had alcohol poison. Like when I was depressed, I would just sit there. I just sit there in my room in like pitch black and just sit there and ball up and cry. When I was so depressed, like I was like trying to hang myself. I was cutting myself, trying to take pills to kill myself. I used to be in my room and screaming like, "Why God? Why God? Why this have to happen to me?"
So as you can see with Marcus, I mean, the severe bullying, it really pushed him to his brink. I mean, he acted out in violence. The kids pushed him where he tried to stab one of them with a pencil. He even was drinking alcohol. He was sneaking in a water bottle behind his parents' back and drinking at school, nonetheless. And of course, ended up in the hospital with alcohol poisoning, which could have been fatal. He even tried to take pills, try to end his life. And it really was a sad road for Marcus. Luckily, things have turned around. And I don't know him personally, but I know he's doing better than he did back then. But I'll tell you what, ongoing bullying, we may think, oh, I'm just joking, I'm just messing around. Marcus could have just lightened up, not take things so seriously, and some people can take some of that teasing and other people can't. And it just really affects them to the point where they act out in different ways, and they can cause some serious damage to their life, their health, and maybe even to the point where they end up ending their life. So we really got to be careful the things that we say, because if we're not careful, we can really push a person over the edge, and we could be held responsible for what happens to that person. Now, here's a picture of me when I was in middle school. This is my 6th grade picture over at Safety Harbor Middle School, and I was severely bullied, and things were pretty tough. I mean, I'll tell you, kids would constantly call me all sorts of names, make fun of my clothes, make fun of my haircut. They used to put kick me signs on my back and randomly come up and kick me in the hallways. One kid used to knock the books out of my hand every day. One kid used to punch me in the arm, leave bruises on my arm. One kid in the guy's locker room used to spray me down with spray deodorant in the guy's locker room. Another time we were at lunch and this kid took his pizza and like slammed it in my hair, just rubbed it into my beautiful hair when I had hair back then, and sauce and cheese. And you have to go through school with all that stuff in your hair. There's no way to really wash it out. And so this happened all through middle school, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. And believe it or not, it actually followed me into high school. 9th grade and even my 10th grade year was some, pretty rough times. And a lot of the physical stuff didn't really happen, but a lot of the verbal bullying was still happening in high school. And it wasn't until there was this girl, and I'll say her name, I'm not afraid to say it. Her name is Sherry. And Sherry was a nice person. And she would reach out to me daily and say, hey, Jason, why don't you come hang out with me and my friends? And at first I'm like, this is a trap. She set me up to get made fun of and be bullied. I'm like, no, thank you. So she would ask me every day, come hang out with me and my friends. I say, no, thank you. And so one week, she decided, you know what? I'm not going to ask. I'm just going to tell them. So she comes up to me. She goes, Jason, come on. You're sitting with my friends. Let's go. And I didn't have the guts to say, oh, no, thank you. I just said, okay. So I sat down with her and her friends were kind. They were nice. They were friendly. I was blown away. I thought they were being fake, but they were really being real to me. And they were including me in the conversation. They were just trying to help me to feel accepted, feel part of a group. And because I used to sit with them daily and started to develop those friendships, all of a sudden my life started to change. I went from low self-esteem to high self-esteem. I started to like myself. I even started to like school because I didn't like school, did not want to be there. But because I started to develop friendships, it made it easier to go to school. And believe it or not, there were still bullies. They were still doing their thing. But because now I had this newfound self-esteem, I kind of laughed it off. They would still come around and be like, where do you get your clothes at? Goodwill. And I said, oh, you like it? Thank you. I picked it out myself. Thanks for noticing. And eventually they started fading away. And my life started to change all the way to when I graduated high school. It was probably the best years of my life, all because of a person named Sherry who decided, you know what, I'm going to help this guy out. And because of it, it saved my life to the point where now I get to pay it forward and do these webinars and do these presentations in the schools to help students realize that bullying is a serious thing. But I'll tell you one thing about Sherry. Sherry is what we like to call a bystander. And so I'm going to pass it back to Sarah. Sarah's going to talk about the bystanders.
Okay, so like we said before, the bystanders are the people on the outskirts looking into the bullying situation. So let's just jump right into a couple statistics. A child is bullied every 7 minutes in school. This is so crazy to me. And also on top of it, I think it's Mr. Jason, if you can go to the next one, please. Thank you. 85% of the time, no one steps in and helps. So you think of it as every 7 minutes, there's a child that's being bullied, and then 85% nobody helps. So why don't they help? Well, a lot of times bystanders feel helpless. They say, do I laugh? Everyone around them is laughing, and they don't want to feel like the odd man out. Do I ignore it? Do I tell someone? What do I do? And I'll tell you what, when I was in school, I was a bystander for sure in some bullying situations that happened around me. But one in particular was this girl. She was from China and she didn't speak English. And because she didn't speak English, kids would make fun of her all the time and she had no idea. And so it took some courage, but I spoke up for the little guy and I was like, hey, she doesn't understand what you're saying and what you're saying is not nice. So you guys should just back off. And they actually did it. So using my voice, I didn't think that was going to happen, but it did. And so speaking of using your voice, we have a quote here by Martin Luther King Jr. He says, "We will have to repent in this generation, not merely for the hateful words and actions of the bad people, but for appalling silence of the good people." So I encourage you guys to use your voice because your voice can be used for good. You might have that temptation when someone's getting bullied and everyone's laughing to pull out your phone, to Snapchat it, to laugh along. But use your voice and speak up for the little guy, just like I did with that girl that was from China, because you may think, oh, they may not want our help or they're just going to tell us to back off. But the thing is, they're being bullied constantly. And so you have to tell them that you're there to help them, just like Sherry did for Jason. She said, you know what? No, you're coming to sit with us. You have to encourage them that you are there to help them and not add to the bullying situation. So use your voice for good. And with that being said, we have an illustration for you, and I'm just going to pass it right back off to Mr. Jason.
All right. So I want to introduce you guys to somebody very special to More to Life. Their name is Bob. Okay, everybody say hi, Bob. And so this is Bob. And the thing is, the thing with Bob is he is a shy guy. You know, he's just kind of a shy individual, and sometimes he doesn't always find it easy to make friends. Sometimes because of his shyness, he kind of keeps himself and kind of stays in the corner. But I'll tell you, Bob has a superpower. And the superpower that he has is kindness. He's just a nice guy. He's kind and gentle to everybody. And so that's what his superpower. It's his shine, if you will. Okay. And so I'm going to show you guys something. And I'm going to bring in this tray here. And I'm going to show you guys inside this tray, we have all these yellow pieces of paper. And these yellow pieces of paper represent the people at Bob's school, right? And so, like we said, Bob is a shy guy, but you know what? Bob is just going to be super kind, super nice, super friendly. So let's watch Bob at work. Here we go. So back to it. Bob's at school, and he's just going ahead, being himself, just doing his thing. And as you can see now, Bob has made some friends, okay? And the thing is, he unfortunately did not make friends with everybody because that's impossible to be friends with everybody. But because of Bob's kindness, it drew the right people in. The right people were attracted to Bob. The ones that did not like Bob's kindness or felt like he was too soft or felt like, he's not one to get in trouble with us, we're going to leave him alone. The right friends were the ones that were attracted to Bob, and Bob ended up doing okay in school because he was himself. He didn't care what people said or think, and the right friends were in his life, helping him make good choices and to do the right thing. So good job, Bob, for just being yourself, and you were rewarded for doing so. So good job. I'm going to put Bob back over here. Okay, now let's say, for instance, like you have some friends, just like Bob now has friends, but in those friends, there's going to be times where there's going to be some conflict. And let me remind us that not every situation is a bullying situation. Sometimes things are just conflict. Like if I go around and I'm, I go up to somebody's school and I make fun of their hair. I'm like, who cut your hair? Your mom? Ha, 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 ha. And they throw it back, oh, at least I have hair. I'm like, oh, and I get mad. I get offended. I go to the principal. I go to my teacher. I go to my mom. I'm like, I'm being bullied. Am I being bullied? No, that's a conflict. So bullying is usually one-sided, and not every situation is a bullying act. So there's going to be conflict. And so what I want to talk about lastly is conflict resolution. Let's say you have a problem with somebody. The thing to do is not to get up in their face, to push them against a locker and be like, did you say something about my mom or whatever? It's not the best way to do that. Instead, if this is truly your friend, you basically you take them to the side. Oops, sorry. You take them to the side and you go to them privately and you talk it out. And you say, hey, listen, I just want you to know the thing that you said about my family really, really bothered me. My family's going through a tough time. The things you said hurt. I would like you to kind of back off and not say those things. Now, if you address the issue, which a lot of times people don't, most likely they may say, you know what, you're right, I shouldn't have said that. I'm really sorry. And then you guys work it out and everything is cool again. But you always have that jerk that just like, they don't like to admit that they're wrong. And they may say like, whatever, I don't care about your family. Your family's stupid or whatever. And you can't seem to work it out. You can't come to that common ground and really shake hands on it. So the next thing you do is you take it to the next level. You get a family member, a teacher, a principal, a mature friend, a camp counselor, a coach, someone that can come alongside you to sit down with you. You sit here, they sit there, and they're like, okay, what happened? Okay, what happened? And then that person becomes the mediator and helps you to work things out. That's only if you can't work it out alone with that person, then you take it to the next level. But you know what? A lot of bullying situations can be alleviated if we just do it this way. We learn to resolve conflict before it gets to that place where it turns into a bullying situation. And if we do that, if we apply these principles to our life, we can make our neighborhoods, our schools, our summer camps, everywhere we go, a bully-free zone. Okay? So, all right. Well, with that, I'm gonna leave you with that final point. And hope if you have any questions, feel free to write us or comment anytime to be a part of the conversation. Okay? Well, thank you for being a part of our bullying webinar. And we have another one coming up this Wednesday on drugs and alcohol. Hopefully you guys can be a part of that. Okay, guys, take care and have a good day.